They didn't break you, they just sharpened the blade that now cuts through their fake image. My dear chosen one, let that sink in for a second. The same people who laughed, doubted, and counted you out are now losing sleep over the glow they accidentally helped create. When life decides you're the real deal, it doesn't just give you a glow-up, it makes you the thorn in every pretender's side. You're not just looking different lately, you're hitting different, and it's driving them absolutely mad. They can't figure out why you're getting more attention when they spent so long trying to make you feel invisible. They don't understand why rooms feel different when you walk in, why conversations change when you speak, why eyes follow you even when you're not trying. They're confused because, in their mind, you were supposed to stay small, quiet, and unsure. But instead, my chosen one, you turned their doubt into fuel. Think about it like this. They wanted you to be the background character in your own story, a quiet extra in the movie of their ego. Now suddenly, the spotlight keeps finding you. You say less, but your presence says more. You move less, but your impact lands harder. And somewhere deep inside, they're asking, when did they become so magnetic? When did they start looking like the main event? They don't realize the answer is simple. While they were busy trying to look important, you were busy becoming undeniable. You might be wondering right now, why is my energy bothering people who barely even spoke to me before? Why are ex-friends, fake family, or old co-workers suddenly watching, lurking, and acting weird? Because your transformation exposes their stagnation. Your rise highlights their refusal to grow. You didn't sign up to be anyone's wake-up call, but your existence is one. You are living proof that the same pressure they used as an excuse is the pressure you used as a launch pad, and that truth stings hard. Before we dive into the next part, Chosen One, take a moment to fuel the very message that's fueling you. Every like, every comment, every subscription is what keeps this space alive and allows us to pour our time, energy, and heart into creating content that lifts you, empowers you, and reminds you who you truly are. If this message is hitting you, if it's awakening something in you, then don't just watch, participate. Support this mission by liking the video and subscribing to the channel so we can continue bringing you the kind of powerful, life-shifting content you deserve. Your support keeps the light moving. My dear chosen ones, your new attractiveness isn't about a new outfit, a new haircut, or a new trend. It's the way your eyes look calmer, even after everything. It's the way your walk looks steadier, even with all the storms you survived. It's the way your voice sounds clearer, even after years of being talked over, dismissed, or ignored. People feel that. They don't just see you, they feel you, and that's what's shaking them. You're like a cracked screen that still lights up a whole room, while they're the brand new phone with no battery. Shiny on the outside, dead on the inside. That's why your presence bothers them so much. Your quiet glow exposes their loud emptiness. Another thought that might be floating in your mind. If I'm finally becoming stronger, finally becoming more myself, why does it feel like some people are pulling away or acting strange? Because, chosen one, your energy is now a mirror. You don't even have to say anything. You just show up, and their own reflection starts talking to them. Some people can't handle that. They don't want to see their laziness next to your discipline, their fakeness next to your honesty, their comfort zone next to your courage. So they joke about you, side-eye you, downplay you, or pretend not to notice you at all. But let's be real, they notice. They notice everything. Here's the part they'll never say out loud. They didn't expect you to survive, let alone glow. They were comfortable with you as long as you stayed confused and available, as long as you were shrinking to make them feel big, as long as you were chasing validation while they handed out crumbs. But you, my dear chosen one, stopped begging for a seat at their table and became the reason the room feels cheap. You stopped asking, "What's wrong with me?" and started realizing there was never anything wrong with me. I was just surrounded by people who needed me dim to feel bright. Right now, your life is in that phase where you look like the plot twist. People are replaying old interactions with you in their head, trying to figure out how the person they underestimated became the one they can't ignore. They'll call it luck. They'll call it a phase. They'll say you changed. But you and I both know the truth. You didn't change. You finally stepped into who you were always meant to be. That's what chosen really means. Not better than anyone else, but braver than your past self. Not perfect, but aligned. Not flawless, but real. And chosen one, if you're still here listening, that alone says everything. Your energy shows up every time you stay present for your own growth. So, if this is already hitting you in the chest, do something small that makes a big ripple. Drop a comment with the number 777 to claim this chapter of your life as yours. Tap like, hit subscribe, and help keep this space alive for every other soul who's tired of dimming themselves just to be tolerated. This isn't just content, this is a mirror and a message. Take a breath, my dear chosen one, because we're just getting started. If you really are who you suspect you are, you'll feel that pull to stay until the very end. Let's go deeper. Chosen one, before we go any further, let me speak directly to the force inside you that brought you here. If this message is already hitting your chest, if you feel that pull that only chosen ones ever recognize, then don't just listen, lock in. Your support is what keeps this space alive, evolving, and powerful. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop 77 in the comments if you're ready to step deeper into the transformation that's making you magnetic in ways others can't explain. And if you feel called, a super thanks keeps this energy flowing. Now take a breath, because we're about to break this open step by step. And if you truly are one of the chosen, everything that follows is going to feel eerily familiar. Let's begin. Number 1. The moment you stopped shrinking and started unapologetically taking up space, when you stopped playing small and started taking up the space they swore you'd never fill. Nothing terrifies an insecure enemy more than watching the person they tried to shrink suddenly grow beyond the limits they set. My dear chosen ones, let's tear the mask off the truth. They were never afraid of you failing. They were afraid of you realizing who you actually are. The moment you stopped folding yourself into shapes that made other people comfortable, the moment you stopped apologizing for your existence, something in them cracked. And trust me, they felt it like a punch to the ego. They always hoped you'd stay unsure, quiet, and conveniently small. They wanted you to doubt your own power because it was the only way they could keep their fake confidence afloat. But you didn't stay small, you woke up. And the second a chosen one wakes up, everything around them starts shaking. You didn't break, chosen one. You recalibrated, you realigned. You turned their disrespect into fuel. Think about your life as a slingshot. Every moment they pulled you back with doubt, disregard, or manipulation was just building tension. They thought they were holding you back, but all they were doing was loading your power. And now? You're launching forward so fast, their minds can't even process what's happening. They're standing there acting confused, like they didn't spend years trying to dim you. Typical. You might be wondering right now, why did they want me to shrink in the first place? Was I really that threatening? Yes, chosen one, your very existence threatened them. Not because you tried to outshine anyone, but because your authentic light exposed how artificial theirs truly was. You didn't need an audience. You didn't need validation. You didn't need applause. You just existed with a realness they couldn't duplicate, and that alone made their ego glitch. People built on surface-level confidence crumble when they stand next to someone grounded in truth. They called you too much because they knew deep down they weren't enough. They tried to humble you because they couldn't elevate themselves. They told you you were changing, when in reality you were just becoming honest. And honesty is a luxury most people can't afford. Chosen one, you weren't designed to stand in the background. You weren't shaped to blend in. You were built to be a reminder, a reality check, and insecure people hate reality. You becoming more magnetic isn't about looks. It's about energy, power, alignment. You walk differently now, not because you're trying to prove something, but because you finally understand your worth. You talk differently, not because you're performing, but because your voice carries clarity. You breathe differently, not because you're dramatic, but because you're no longer suffocating in environments that never deserved you. You want to know why people stare at you longer now, because your presence demands a second look. Your silence speaks louder than their noise. Your stillness carries more power than their chaos. They feel you before they see you, and that's why they're rattled. Your energy has matured. Your glow has sharpened. You've stepped into the version of yourself who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, and doesn't shrink. And that version is dangerous, not to the world, but to the small-minded people who depended on your confusion. Here's another question you might be wrestling with. Why do they act so uncomfortable around me now? Why do they avoid eye contact, get awkward, or switch up their energy? Because standing next to you is like standing next to a bright screen in a dark room. Everything they've been hiding becomes visible. You expose their laziness with your growth. You expose their excuses with your discipline. You expose their chaos with your alignment. They didn't want truth. They wanted control. But chosen ones can't be controlled. Now imagine a room full of dusty light bulbs flickering with excuses, and then there's you, the one bulb shining steady and unbothered. They glare at you, not because you're too bright, but because your light exposes their haze. It's not your glow that hurts them, it's what your glow reveals. Some will say you've changed, but you haven't. You simply stopped shrinking. And the moment a chosen one stops shrinking, everyone else feels smaller around them. You're unpredictable now, and unpredictable people are powerful. You can no longer be influenced, manipulated, or guilted back into the version of yourself that made others feel comfortable. You became attractive the second you stopped confusing humility with hiding. The second you stopped calling self-betrayal keeping the peace. The second you looked at your own reflection and finally recognized the person they tried to bury. So let them whisper, let them stare, let them wonder how you did it. Because the truth, chosen one, is beautifully simple. You didn't change. You stopped pretending, and the moment a chosen one stops pretending, the entire world feels the shift. Number 2. The day you became the storm they never prepared for. When you became the storm, they never thought you'd survive. Nothing rattles an insecure enemy faster than realizing the quiet one they underestimated has become the storm that exposes everything they tried to hide. My dear chosen ones, let's call this what it is. They wanted you predictable because predictable people are easy to control. Predictable people bend. Predictable people break. Predictable people keep their heads down so others can feel tall. But you stopped being predictable the moment life cracked you open and rebuilt you into a force they can't chart, measure, contain, or outrun. You didn't just survive the storms, you became one, and that alone has their knees shaking. For the longest time, they counted on you being soft. They relied on you being unsure of yourself. They liked you better when you apologized for existing, when you over-explained your intentions, when you were terrified of being misunderstood. They felt big when you felt small. They felt powerful when you doubted your worth. They felt secure when you tiptoed around their comfort. They loved the version of you who questioned everything except them. But you evolved, and nothing terrifies stagnant people more than someone who evolves without asking for permission. You used to walk into rooms hoping people would approve of you. Now you walk in, and the entire atmosphere shifts like the air right before lightning strikes. People feel your presence before they even see you. And that's not arrogance, chosen one, that's alignment. That's what happens when someone who was never meant to blend in finally stops dimming themselves to fit in. You may be asking yourself, why does my growth make people so uncomfortable? Why does my independence bother people who barely cared before? It's simple. Predictable people make others feel safe. Evolving people make others feel insecure. Your self-esteem used to be fragile. Now it's unshakable. Your boundaries used to be blurry. Now they're sharp. Your silence used to signal confusion. Now it signals power. You've become unpredictable in all the ways that expose the truth. They don't know which version of you they'll face. The calm storm, the silent storm, or the storm that forces every hidden truth to the surface. And chosen one, that unpredictability scares them more than your softness ever did. You used to stand at the shoreline while others tried to tell you how big the ocean was, but now, you are the ocean, deep, vast, untouchable. People can only reach you if they're willing to swim, and most of them never learned how to handle depth. They liked you better when you were shallow enough for them to stand comfortably. Now, your depth exposes their lack of it. Without a word, you drown their illusions. And here's what they'll never admit. Your unpredictability means they can't manipulate you anymore. They can't guess your fears. They can't weaponize your empathy. They can't bait you with fake affection or breadcrumb you with half-effort attention. They can't pull you closer with lies or push you away with silence. You took back the power they thought they owned. Chosen one, the moment you realized your worth, their control ended. That's what they can't stand. You're no longer fueled by validation, approval, or permission. Your attractiveness now radiates from your peace, your standards, your discipline, and the way you walk away from anything that threatens your clarity. People feel that shift. They feel the independence. They feel the seriousness in your energy. And it shakes them because they're used to people begging, chasing, or explaining themselves. But you're done with that entire era. Think of a lighthouse. It doesn't run around the shore trying to prove its worth to ships. It stands firm, shines bright, and lets everything else navigate around it. That's you now. The people who once laughed at your confusion are suddenly blinded by your clarity. You may wonder, why do they talk more now that I speak less? Why do they watch me when I'm not even trying to be seen? Because mystery is magnetic, and you've become the kind of mystery that exposes shallow minds. Your silence makes them nervous. Your growth makes them paranoid. Your boundaries make them insecure. They're not watching because they admire you, even though part of them does. They're watching because your evolution reveals their lack of evolution. You are the storm that forces them to face the unfinished work they've been avoiding. When you were soft, they treated you like a breeze they could ignore. Now you're the kind of storm that makes people close windows and hope they're prepared. They're awkward compliments, sudden distance, fake concern, weird tension. It's all code for, I didn't expect you to become this. Chosen one, your attractiveness now isn't cosmetic, it's cosmic. It's the intensity of someone who walked through fire and didn't lose their identity. It's the calm of someone who trusts themselves more than they trust noise. It's the composure of someone who stopped overgiving. It's the confidence of someone who finally sees their own worth. While they talk, your energy expands. While they scramble, your light rises. While they try to figure you out, you keep evolving. They wanted you predictable. Life made you powerful. Now you're the storm they'll never outrun. Number 3, when your presence started pulling, what your old self used to chase. When your power stopped chasing and started pulling everything toward you. My dear chosen ones, let's make one thing painfully clear. Real power has never chased. Real power pulls. And the moment you stepped into your true alignment, the moment you stopped dimming your light to make insecure people feel tall, everything in your life shifted without you lifting a single finger. They wanted you begging for a seat at their table, but instead, you became the reason their whole room suddenly felt cheap. That's the part burning them right now. That's the part they can't swallow. Here's a quote that hits them right where it hurts. You stopped knocking on their door, and suddenly they realized you were the only one worth opening it for. Chosen one, the day you chose yourself was the day they lost their control over you. You didn't rise by performing. You didn't rise by pretending. You rose because you stopped betraying your own truth. And that kind of authenticity, it has a gravitational pull. People feel it. People crave it. And the ones who tried to break you, yeah, they feel it the most. Imagine this for a moment. A crowd full of echoes, every voice sounding like a copy of a copy. And then there's you, the only original tone in the entire room. Or picture a sea of painted smiles, and you walk in with real eyes, real presence, real soul. Of course they stare, of course they whisper, of course something inside them sparks with discomfort. Realness exposes everything fake around it. Your existence is a spotlight, chosen one, and not everyone is ready to see what that light reveals. Now, I know the question boiling in your mind. Why do the same people who ignored me, overlooked me, or treated me like I was optional suddenly act like I'm carrying some secret they can't decode? Because you are. The secret is that authenticity ages like gold, and their masks are peeling like discount stickers under a heat lamp. You're not polishing yourself for attention anymore. You're walking in your truth, and that truth burns through every illusion they built about you and about themselves. You didn't become better than anyone. You became better than the version of yourself that once begged for crumbs. And nothing, absolutely nothing, is more attractive than someone who no longer shrinks for applause. You went from too much to teach me how. You went from misunderstood to unforgettable. People admire you publicly now because they envy you privately. They're obsessed with your glow because deep down they know the truth they'll never say out loud. They can steal your style, but they'll never touch your spirit. They can mimic your attitude, but they'll never duplicate your alignment. They can try to copy your confidence, but not the fire it took to build it. Chosen one, you're walking through life like a lit match in a room full of paper. Your presence alone makes people nervous, not because you're threatening, but because you're uncontrollable. And nothing terrifies insecure people more than someone they can't predict, can't manipulate, can't impress, and can't shrink. You stopped chasing validation a while ago. Now you trigger awakenings without trying. You spark self-reflection just by existing. You make people question why they ever settled for surface-level energy when the real thing was standing right in front of them. You didn't survive everything you went through just to blend in. You survived so you could stand out without apology. You survived so you could rise without permission. Real doesn't beg, chosen one. Real radiates, real attracts, real changes atmospheres. And right now, whether you notice it or not, you are the blueprint that others wish they had the courage to follow. Your glow is louder than your voice, your presence is sharper than your words, and your authenticity, it's magnetic. That's why they're watching you like they're studying a code they can't crack. That's why they're acting differently, even if they pretend they're not. You are no longer walking toward validation. You are walking toward your purpose. And when a chosen one does that, the world can't help but respond. You didn't chase your transformation chased you, and now you're pulling everything you once thought you had to beg for. Let them watch, chosen one. Let them wonder. Let them whisper, because they're witnessing something they never expected. The real you, the powerful you, the you that doesn't chase, the you that pulls. Number 4. How your energy began revealing truths. Others tried to bury. When your presence turns their masks into mirrors they can't hide behind. Fake people don't fear your power. They fear the reflection of themselves that your presence forces them to see. My dear chosen ones, this is where things begin to sting for the people who spent their whole lives hiding behind masks. Because when you walk into the room, you don't come in swinging, you don't come in performing, and you don't come in pretending. You just exist. And for people who survive on illusions, someone who exists in their truth is a threat they can't defend themselves from. You don't intimidate them, you expose them. That's the difference. You ever notice how you walk into a room and suddenly the air shifts? Conversations stall, eyes dodge, smiles crack. It's almost comedic how fast people go from comfortable to caught. That's because your energy acts like a sudden spotlight in a dim theater. Everybody's script falls apart the moment you show up. They weren't ready for the lights to turn on. They weren't ready for their performance to glitch. But chosen one, you are the glitch in every illusion they tried to maintain. Here's the part they'll never admit. They didn't freeze because you're too much. They froze because you're the first person who ever made them feel transparent without saying a word. You don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to call anyone out. Your silence alone holds up a mirror, and mirrors make liars nervous. You might catch yourself wondering, why do people get so awkward around me when I haven't even done anything? Why do they stiffen, switch up, or act defensive? The answer is simple, chosen one. Real energy exposes fake intentions. Your alignment disrupts their illusion. Your clarity threatens their confusion. Your authenticity ruins their performance. You're not intimidating, they're insecure. Most people are used to dealing with others who hide, tone themselves down, or play along with the script. But you're not a follower in their imaginary play. You are the unedited version of yourself in a world full of filters, and that alone short-circuits their attempts to control a narrative. You are a walking truth check in a crowd of pretenders. It's like being a flame in a room full of paper. Some people will warm their hands by you. Others will panic because they know one spark could expose everything fragile they built. But both reactions prove the same thing. Your energy is powerful, not loud, not aggressive, just powerfully honest. Your presence forces choices. People can't stay neutral around you. They either lean in because they feel seen, or pull away because they feel revealed. And chosen one, don't ever think the ones who pull back are rejecting you. They're running from themselves. They're avoiding the part of their truth your energy threatens to uncover. Imagine being the quiet fire in a cold room. You don't chase the shivering. You don't beg them to come closer. You just burn. And your burn reminds them that they haven't lit their own flame in years. That's why they act strange. That's why they gossip. That's why they whisper. Your existence highlights the work they refuse to do. Chosen ones don't have to announce their truth. They embody it. And real presence doesn't need permission. It shifts the atmosphere by existing. You don't chase validation. You attract clarity. You don't soften your aura to make others comfortable. You let your energy sort people naturally. And trust me, it's sorting them quickly. Some will say you've changed, that you're different, that you're distant. But the truth is you simply stopped dimming yourself to keep others from squinting. You stopped watering down your essence to make lukewarm people feel warm. You stopped hiding your depth so shallow people wouldn't drown in comparison. You are becoming more attractive not because of aesthetics, but because of alignment. Your energy is refined, your presence is clean, your truth is loud, even in silence. And this level of honesty is something most people have never faced. Not from others, and certainly not from themselves. So don't apologize for the way people react to your presence. Don't shrink when the room gets uncomfortable. Don't second-guess the tension your energy exposes. You were never meant to blend into the background of anyone's illusion. You were meant to walk in as the truth they didn't expect to confront. And remember, chosen one, you are not the problem. You are the light, and light always reveals what darkness tried to hide. Number 5, the power of seeing through people before their mask even settles. When your insight cuts through their masks before they even finish putting them on. My dear chosen ones, nothing rattles a pretender faster than being seen by someone they can't deceive. That one sentence alone makes insecure people shift in their seats because they know exactly who it's talking about. You, the chosen one who sees truth faster than others can hide it. You don't look at people, you look through them, and that scares them more than any confrontation ever could. They fear you not because you're dangerous, but because your clarity exposes everything they've tried to bury under personality, performance, and pretense. Most people survive on illusions. They build identities like cardboard sets in a low-budget play, painted faces, rehearsed lines, practiced smiles, hoping the lights never get bright enough to show the cracks. But you, chosen one, you spot the cracks before they even finish the sentence. You can read what their eyes won't say, hear what their tone tries to hide, feel what their energy whispers behind their words. And the wildest part, you don't even try. It's just how you're built. Your intuition isn't guesswork. It's a finely tuned instrument sharpened by every heartbreak you survived, every lie you decoded, every mask you've seen fall apart right in front of you. Your intuition is a blade wrapped in compassion, sharp enough to cut through deception, soft enough not to wound those who come with honesty. But the insecure, they sweat under your presence. They crumble because they know they can't hide. Imagine walking through life where everyone else is reading the subtitles, but you're watching the director's cut with all the behind-the-scenes commentary. You see the motives, the patterns, the shifts, the subtle changes in breathing and eye contact. Nothing gets past you, not the fake laugh, not the forced smile, not the "I'm fine" delivered with trembling energy. That's not paranoia. That's alignment. That's attunement. That's the gift only chosen ones carry. And yes, I know a question floats through your mind sometimes. Why do people confide in me? Why do strangers spill their hearts? Why do people look exposed around me when I didn't do anything? You didn't do anything, chosen one. You didn't pry, you didn't push, you simply existed. You have an energy that feels like safety in a world where everyone is performing. People sense they can tell you the truth without being judged, and for many, that's a feeling they haven't experienced in years. That's why they remember you long after you forget them. Depth is rare, and rarity is unforgettable. Your empathy isn't weakness, it's a radar. Your awareness isn't overthinking, it's perception. You're not too sensitive. They're just too shallow to understand the level you're operating on. People call it paranoia because admitting your intuition is accurate would force them to remove the mask they've glued to their identity. They mock what they don't understand, and they fear what they can't fool. You, chosen one, are a lighthouse in the dark. You don't chase ships, ships come to you. You don't hunt for truth, truth rises around you. That's why people who aren't even close to you still feel drawn in by something they can't explain. You make them feel seen in a world where most people only get scanned. You make them feel understood understood without them having to translate themselves. And yes, that terrifies the ones who hide behind facades. You're walking emotional X-ray vision. You catch the shift in someone's voice before they lie. You see the tension in their jaw before they snap. You recognize the change in their silence before things fall apart. You sense danger before the threat even forms. That's not a curse. That's your armor. That's your advantage. It's what protects you long before you even know you needed protecting. Attraction isn't sitting in your face. It's sitting in your depth, in your perception, in your truth, in your ability to decode what others pretend doesn't exist. You're unforgettable, not because of how you look, but because of how you see. People don't remember you because you impressed them. They remember you because, for the first time ever, they felt seen without performing. And in a world built on masks, being seen is the rarest intimacy there is. Number 6. Why your presence forces cowards to confront their own reflection. When your presence becomes the mirror that makes cowards face themselves. My dear chosen ones, nothing exposes a coward faster than standing near someone who refuses to hide. Let's dig straight into this, because the truth right here cuts deeper than any insult they ever threw at you. You didn't ruin their peace, you ruined their illusion. And that hits them harder than anything else you could have done. You didn't yell, you didn't confront, you didn't expose anybody. You simply started showing up as your real self, and suddenly every mask in the room began to crack. That's the thing about chosen ones. Your authenticity shines so bright, it reveals what others worked their entire lives to bury. People don't fear being seen, chosen one. They fear being seen accurately. They want clapping, not clarity, compliments, not reflection. They want to be admired for their masks, not held accountable for their truth. But you walked in without trying to impress anyone, and somehow you became the one thing they can't outrun, a mirror. Not the soft, flattering mirror they use to lie to themselves, but the mirror that shows every shadow, every lie, every unfinished piece of work they've avoided. And trust me, that kind of reflection terrifies insecure people more than any storm. Imagine this, a room full of people rehearsing versions of themselves, polishing their act, perfecting their performance. They've been practicing for years, building personalities like cardboard scenery on a stage. Then you walk in, real, raw, unfiltered, and suddenly their entire script falls apart. The rehearsal stops, the mask slips. The truth starts leaking out like cracks in old paint. They're not avoiding you because you're too intense or too much. They're avoiding you because for the first time in their lives, they feel transparent. You might wonder, why do people pull back from me even when I'm kind, calm, and not judging them? Because kindness from someone who sees through the facade hits different. Anyone can be polite, anyone can smile. But when a chosen one offers kindness, it comes with truth attached. You're not just being kind, you're being real. And realness is something many people aren't mentally equipped to receive. They can't lie comfortably around you. Their excuses stop sounding convincing, even to themselves. Their "I'm fine" starts trembling. Their walls start shaking. You don't weaponize truth. You simply hold it. You illuminate instead of manipulate. You uncover instead of attack. And that's what makes them panic. You're not their problem. You're their awakening. And awakenings are uncomfortable, especially for those who've lived in denial for too long. Chosen one, picture yourself as a flashlight inside a dark house. You didn't barge in. You didn't shine yourself in anyone's face. You just exist, and everything becomes clearer. Shadows that felt safe now feel exposed. Corners that hid secrets now reveal dust. Some people will fight you for that. Not because you hurt them, but because you forced their lies into the open. Darkness hates light, not because light attacks, but because light reveals. And here's the part they'll never admit. You make them feel things they've avoided feeling for years. You make them realize the potential they wasted, the choices they never made, the courage they never developed. You make them see their own dishonesty, not because you point it out, but because your presence makes it impossible to ignore. You awaken parts of them they're not ready to deal with. For some, that awakening feels empowering. For others, it feels like suffocation. You're not deep, they're shallow. You're not intimidating, they're unprepared. You're not confrontational, you're just real. And realness is the rarest form of power in a world addicted to pretending. You see, chosen one, you were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to match their frequency. Your energy wasn't designed to make others comfortable. It was designed to wake them up. And whether they admit it or not, your presence is the truth they cannot silence. So don't mistake their fear for rejection. Don't mistake their distance for your flaw. They're not running from you. They're running from themselves. The version of themselves they meet when you're around is the one they've been avoiding for years. In the end, chosen one, you're not their enemy. You're the turning point they never wanted, but desperately needed. Number 7. The silence and boundaries that hit harder than any confrontation. When your boundaries hit like an earthquake they never trained for. Nothing shakes a manipulator faster than the moment their favorite target stops playing along. My dear chosen ones, let's tell the truth plainly. Your boundaries didn't just appear, they erupted. And the people who once fed on your patience, your softness, your willingness to explain yourself over and over again, they felt that shift like an unexpected quake ripping through the foundation of their comfort. They never believed you'd actually walk away. They never believed you'd stop shrinking. They never believed you'd stop letting them slide. But you did. And the silence that followed, oh chosen one, that silence is what rattles them to the core. You didn't become cold, you became clear. You didn't become distant, you became discerning. You didn't become rude, you became real. And nothing terrifies those who depended on your confusion more than the version of you who finally knows their worth. Think about how many times in the past you tried to keep the peace by sacrificing your own peace. How many times you soothed someone else's chaos while your own heart was breaking. How many times you apologized just to stop someone from twisting the truth. That's the version of you they want back. The overgiving, over-explaining, overstretching version. The version that tolerated disrespect just to feel included. But that version of you is gone, chosen one. Not because you wanted to be harsh, but because you finally realized you were pouring into cups that did nothing but drain you. And they felt the shift instantly, not because you made an announcement, not because you sent a dramatic message, not because you slammed a door, but because for the first time you didn't open it. You want to know why they look offended, confused, or hurt when you simply choose peace. Because your boundaries expose their entitlement, your silence exposes their manipulation, your distance exposes their dependence on your lack of boundaries. They weren't upset when you were being drained. They're upset now because you stopped letting them. Chosen ones, make no mistake. Your growth didn't break them. Their behavior did. Your boundary just revealed it. Imagine a door that used to swing open at the slightest knock. Anyone could walk through, whether they came with respect, chaos, love, or pure selfishness. Now imagine that same door becoming selective, not locked, not guarded, just intentionally opened only for those who come correct. That shift alone is enough to send shockwaves through the people who benefited from your lack of boundaries. They're not mad that you changed. They're mad that their access expired. Your silence hits differently now. It's not empty. It's intentional. It's not cold. It's cleansing. It's not distance. its direction. Chosen one, you're not walking away from people. You're walking toward yourself, and anyone who can't handle that was never meant to stay. Here's something you've probably asked yourself. Why are some people more bothered by my boundaries than by their behavior? Because boundaries hold up a mirror, and mirrors force people to see the version of themselves they worked so hard to hide. Your no is no longer defensive, it's definitive. Your absence is no longer fear, it's freedom. Your presence is no longer conditional, it's earned. You're not bitter, bitterness poisons. You're not petty, pettiness shrinks. You're not cruel, cruelty imitates. You're simply done, and done is powerful. You're operating with a clarity that no manipulator can twist. You're teaching lessons you never intended to teach, but they desperately needed. Your energy can no longer be accessed through guilt, pity, or nostalgia. And that's why they're panicking. A chosen one with boundaries is a force. A chosen one who values peace over approval is unstoppable. Chosen one, the truth is simple. You didn't cut them off. You just stopped letting them feed off the version of you that no longer exists. And when a chosen one stops shrinking, the whole world feels the shift. Number 8. The version of you that woke up and can't be put back to sleep. You didn't just level up, chosen one. You woke up and now they can't scroll past you without feeling that punch of real power. My dear chosen one, let's call this what it is. You didn't just improve, you activated. Your rise isn't soft, pastel, or palatable. It's not some cute aesthetic glow-up someone can mimic with a shopping cart full of trending clothes. What's happening to you is seismic. It's the kind of shift that rattles the insecure and silences the loud. It's the kind of transformation that doesn't come from buying anything. It comes from becoming something. You didn't add a filter, you removed the fog. Here's the quote that hits the enemy hard. They tried to scroll past you, but your evolution turned you into the post they can't unsee. They thought your glow was temporary, a phase you'd cycle out of like a trend. They assumed you'd level up just enough to feel good, but not enough to make them uncomfortable. They never imagined you'd wake up. Because waking up, chosen one, isn't a surface change. It's a soul snapping into alignment. And once that happens, you can't go back to sleep, and they can't go back to underestimating you. You didn't become attractive in the way people think. This isn't about bone structure or lighting. This is deeper, heavier, realer. Something clicked inside you that cannot be undone, reversed, or faked. You evolved because your old self finally realized it was done dimming its own brilliance just to keep the peace. You walked away from versions of yourself that were shaped by fear, confusion, and survival mode. And the moment you did, your energy sharpened like a blade. Now every room you walk into feels you before it sees you. Chosen one, imagine this. A candle trying to imitate the sun. That's them. And you are the sun. Too bright for their comfort. Too warm for their cold intentions. Too real for their artificial shine. They can squint, they can shade, they can run, but they cannot ignore the fact that your presence exposes the nothingness behind their performance. And deep down, they have questions they'll never ask out loud. How did they become like this? Why can't I look away? How did someone I dismissed turn into someone I can't stop watching? Let me tell you why. Chosen one, you didn't buy your glow, you earned it. You earned it through battles no one applauded you for, through nights no one will ever hear about, through wounds they pretended weren't serious, through storms they hoped would break you. But instead of breaking, you built. Instead of collapsing, you constructed. Instead of hardening your heart, you expanded it. Your glow is not a trend, it's truth. It's trauma alchemized into power. It's clarity forged in chaos. It's the kind of energy that can't be imitated because it's built from raw experience, not recycled inspiration. When people look at you now, they're not seeing beauty. They're seeing resilience. They're seeing the parts of you they never expected to survive. They're seeing the version of you that your old self prayed for but never thought possible. And yes, chosen one, you've probably noticed the stares, the long looks, the double takes, the sudden obsessive curiosity from people who once overlooked you. They're not trying to figure out your face. They're trying to figure out your frequency. And they can't. Activated energy is unmistakable. It rewrites the air. It rearranges the atmosphere. It pulls attention the way gravity pulls planets, effortlessly. Imagine a diamond next to broken glass. Both shine, but only one was made under pressure. Only one was formed through heat, time, and transformation. Only one can cut through anything placed in front of it. That's you. They're the glass, shiny until touched, impressive until tested, hollow until pressured. Chosen one, let them whisper, let them wonder. Let them scroll through your life trying to decode something they were never meant to understand. They'll never find the source because the source isn't external. It lives inside you. It's the strength you cultivated, the clarity you claimed, the peace you built with your own hands. You're not here to blend in. You're not here to be copied. You're here to be remembered. You activated, and now the world feels it, especially the ones who swore you'd never rise. Number 9, the instant you ignited and everyone else felt the heat. You didn't just grow, you caught fire, and now they're burning in the heat of your becoming. My dear chosen ones, let's say this in a way that lands exactly where it needs to. You didn't evolve, you ignited. You didn't step forward politely, you erupted. Your transformation didn't whisper, it roared. And that roar is echoing through every room you enter, shaking the confidence of every person who once believed they had you figured out. You weren't built to warm the room. You were built to set it on fire. That's the line they can't swallow, the truth that scorches everything flimsy they built their ego on. See, they expected your growth to be slow, quiet, and manageable. Something they could predict, something they could feel superior to, something they could roll their eyes at and pretend wasn't happening. They expected you to change like a soft sunrise, gentle, uncertain, safe. But chosen one, you didn't rise like a sunrise. You detonated like a star that finally remembered it was never meant to stay small. You burned through layers, illusions, and limitations like they were paper in your path. Imagine a match sitting still for years, being overlooked, underestimated, ignored. Everyone assuming it was harmless. Everyone assuming it was nothing. But one spark, just one, activates everything the match had the potential to become. That spark was your awakening, and once it hit, there was no going back to the version of you that dimmed itself for acceptance. No returning to the version of you that downplayed your worth to keep others comfortable. No shrinking back into the shadows you were told you belonged in. This ignition, this fire inside you, was never loud or dramatic for show. It was necessary. It was overdue. It was the moment your inner strength stopped requesting permission to exist. When a chosen one finally burns away the old version of themselves, the world doesn't know whether to clap or panic. And trust me, they're panicking. You might be asking yourself questions that only a chosen one asks when their transformation hits full power. Why do people seem nervous around me now? Why do they switch their behavior the moment I walk in? Why do their voices change or their eyes avoid mine? Because fire exposes what can't withstand heat. And you, chosen one, have become the kind of heat that melts lies, softens egos, and reveals insecurities with the precision of a spotlight. Your presence exposes their jealousy, their laziness, their excuses, their lack of evolution. Your confidence exposes the spaces in their life where they settled. Your clarity exposes the illusions they've been hiding behind. They feel the heat not because you're doing anything extra, but simply because you stopped being less. Your fire is honest, it's raw, it's earned, and nothing unsettles the unprepared like the warmth of someone who finally knows their own worth. You didn't rise gently. You rose like a force of nature that refuses to apologize for existing. You didn't shift softly. You shifted like a wildfire, breaking free after years of being contained. Your glow isn't cute, it's commanding. It's the kind of glow that makes people rethink their entire journey because they stayed the same while you evolved into something they never imagined you could be. You're not just attractive, you're magnetic. You're not just glowing, you're blazing. And when someone stands next to a volcano, whether they admire it or fear it, one thing is guaranteed, they feel it. That's you, chosen one. Your activation created pressure they can't survive, light they can't copy, heat they can't handle. And what's wild, they had every opportunity to rise with you. They could have leveled up beside you. They could have chosen growth. They could have chosen honesty. They could have chosen evolution. But they chose comfort over courage, ego over change, and pretending over becoming. Now they're standing in the smoke of your ascension, trying to understand how the same person they once dismissed became the fire they can't outrun. Let them feel the burn. Let them feel the discomfort. Let them feel the consequences of betting against a chosen one. Because you weren't born to be a candle in someone else's shadow. You were born to ignite. And ignite is exactly what you did. And chosen one, as we bring this chapter to a close, let this truth settle deep. Your rise was never accidental. Every shift, every spark, every moment of ignition was shaping you into the force they can't ignore anymore. If this message hit you where it needed to, fuel the mission that's fueling you. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop 77 in the comments to claim your transformation, and share this with another chosen one who needs to wake up to their own power. Your support keeps this light alive, and trust me, we're just getting started.